The subject that has been selected for me to speak on, Freemasonry, Ancient Egypt, and Islamic Destiny, is a broad subject, a very wide subject. And I haven't spoken on that subject in, I guess, in about a year, a little more than a year. And the last time I spoke, it was in North Carolina, Statesville. So I want to let you know that, so I may get started a little slow. Freemasonry, Ancient Egypt, and the Islamic Destiny. Many have asked, what is the Freemasonry? Well, there's several reasons. Four main reasons that I can think of is that, one, the founding fathers of this land, many of those original leaders of the colonies, were Masons. Many of our African American leaders nowadays are members of the Masonic order. The Masonic order, in some respects, trace its origin back to our motherland, Africa, to the building of the Great Pyramid. Some trace it back to Jerusalem, the building of Solomon's Temple, but others trace it back to ancient Egypt. And from another reason is that, and the later degrees of Freemasonry, as they go up into the higher degrees, they make some kind of connection with the Islamic religion. They become what are called Shriners. And as Shriners, they say they are traveling to the Shrine of Islam, which is the Kaaba in Mecca. And they dress in the garb of certain Islamic countries with the fezzes. Their greetings is Assalamu alaikum, and they use our holy book, and they get a certain perspective on Islam. So I think those are four basic good reasons why we should have some concern about Freemasonry and what it is. Before I go into what Freemasonry is, let me just say, for the sake of our audience, those that are not Muslims, to remind you that Muslims are not inherently terrorists, inherently and diametrically opposed to Christians or Jews or violent-prone people. In fact, the word Islam itself comes from a word I have up here called Salama, which actually means peace, security, to preserve. So the word Muslim, as you see, S-L-A-M in Arabic, that would be the sin, the lamb, and the meme, the three letters. Or the S, the L, and the M. Wherever you see that, that's the root. All the words coming from that is associated with that root. So Muslim, in its essence, actually means peace, security, protection. A person you're at peace with, and a person that seeks to establish the peace. And that's what Islam means too. It's from the same root. And if you notice, Muslims say, As-salam alaykum, as peace be unto you. It comes from the same root. So, despite all of the things that's going on in the world events, the politics, and all the other things, that in its essence, Islam is about peace. And we're obligated to respect people of other faiths and other religions. Freemasonry. What is Freemasonry? First of all, there are two kinds of masonry. There's what is called the operative masonry and the speculative masonry. Operative masonry is the physical masons that we see that build buildings like this, that are involved in building physical structures. It's called operative because it operates in the society. Those who work with the physical mallet, the physical chisel, the physical bricks, as an operative mason. Speculative masonry is what we would call spiritual masonry. Spiritual masonry. What this particular ideology or philosophy or organization has done is it has taken the working tools, the instruments, etc. of the physical mason and given it spiritual and philosophical meaning. For example, The level is generally used by the operative or physical mason to make sure that the horizontal is balanced, to prove a horizontal line. And those who used to shoot pool, we put the level on the pool table to make sure that it's balanced equally horizontal. So the operative mason uses that when he's building a house or building to make sure that horizontal base is level. So for the speculative mason, that same instrument that is used to establish, to prove a level of the horizontal, it is a symbol of equality, to make sure that things are on an equal level. Also, for another example, the plumb line. When you're going to build, you start in perhaps the northeast corner, and you have to make sure that the perpendicular line, which runs this way, is at least at a 90-degree angle to the horizontal line, which runs this way. But to prove that line, to make sure that this line is straight accurately, you use what is called a plumb. The instrument is physical built, opposite, to make sure that this is straight. Okay? But in what is called speculative masonry, or the spiritual masonry, that plumb line may be interpreted as being upright thinking, rectitude of thought. So that's an idea of operative masonry and speculative masonry. Now, in speculative masonry, it's generally called Freemasonry. What is Freemasonry? Many of the authors, historians, scholars in the subject of Freemasonry themselves are at their wit's end to a certain extent trying to give a definition of Masonry, although there are several meanings. One of the most popular meanings is a system of morality, veiled in allegories and symbols. In other words, they attempt to teach moral teachings, but they veil it in different symbols and in different stories and allegories. One of the important meanings of Masonry is it is called Freemasonry. And the word free means without restriction, without hindrance. And a Mason is one who builds. So it means that it is a person that is free to build their personal life, their social life, their community life, to build themselves physically, mentally, and spiritually. And African Americans were not allowed to be Masons because it was said that a slave could not be a Mason, that only a free man could be a Mason. But only a man that is free to develop his mind, to develop his society, to develop his family, to develop himself physically, mentally, and spiritually, only that person is indeed a free man or a free builder. Now, we have had many obstacles in our way. We have not been free to really develop our minds, especially during slavery. We're not allowed to read, to develop our minds. So one of the meanings of Freemasonry is one who is free to build himself physically, mentally, and spiritually. Now, most of us, I'm sure, are familiar with the Masonic symbol. Here, the compass in the square with the G in the middle. That is the emblem that most of us have seen, I'm sure, correct? Well, the G in the middle has several meanings. One of the meanings is geometry. To know how to work with angles and squares, triangles, etc. So one of the meanings is geometry. The other meaning is God. G-O-D. But it's a play on, I believe, Hebrew, Doma Asdar, which means beauty, strength, and wisdom. The other meaning of the G is God, the grand architect of the universe. And another very, very important meaning, brothers and sisters, for the G is growth, development. Growth and development. That the human being grows and develops stage by stage through different levels of development. And in our holy book, the Quran, we are told that God reminds us that He created us weak. And it really represents the material and the spiritual. It's important that we have material and spiritual balance. Religion and the secular achievements, if you will. Now, how do we arrive at that? A compass is used to draw circles, correct? We use a compass to draw circles. And all things that are circular are capable of movement. It represents the spiritual side of life. All things that are circular are capable of movement. A wheel is circular, it rolls. A ball is circular, it rolls. Our heads are circular, and there should be some activity in our heads. There should be some movement in our heads.